Dark chosen ones. Enter these 3 dark dimensions, even angels fear to enter. There's a truth that most spiritual teachers will never tell you. It's too raw, too intense, too far outside the sanitized love and light version of awakening that gets packaged for mass consumption. But if you're here, you're not here for comfort, you're here for truth. And the truth is this: not all chosen ones walk in light. Some of us were forged in shadow. Some of us were summoned into dimensions so dark, so ancient, so incomprehensible that even the angels wouldn't follow us there. Not because we were evil, but because we were built for missions that required us to go where others would unravel. These are the dark chosen ones, not dark in nature, but in path. And if you are one, you already know. You've felt it since you were a child. You've had dreams that didn't feel like dreams. You've seen things others didn't. You've carried battles inside you that no one around you could understand, and now you're being called to remember why. There are 3 dark dimensions that the dark chosen ones are pulled into, sometimes by force, sometimes by fate, but always by soul contract. These dimensions are not metaphorical, they are not symbolic, they are real, energetic realms that exist outside of linear time. They are layered beneath the physical world, vibrating at frequencies that tear illusions apart. These dimensions are not evil, they are initiatory. They are designed to strip you of everything false. And only those who have already died many spiritual deaths can survive them. Most never even know they've entered. They think they're having a mental breakdown, a spiritual crisis, a dark night of the soul. But what they're actually doing is crossing the threshold into territory that few ever return from unchanged.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The first time I entered one of these realms, I didn't know what was happening. All I knew was that everything around me started to distort. Time slowed, emotions intensified. My thoughts weren't mine anymore. They felt like echoes from something older, something watching. I felt like I was being pulled into a vortex that had no exit, and the people around me couldn't see it. They just thought I was withdrawing, depressed, lost. But I wasn't lost. I was being initiated. I was being dragged into the first dimension, the realm of echoes. We'll talk about that in the next part, but you need to understand something now. These dimensions are not punishments. They are invitations. They don't come when you're weak. They come when you're ready. Because to walk through them is to burn away every illusion you've ever clung to. Your identity, your beliefs, your attachments, your trauma, your pride, your ego, and most importantly, your fear. These dimensions don't care how spiritual you are. They don't respond to crystals or mantras or curated rituals. They respond only to raw presence, to truth, to the willingness to die before you die. People often ask me, why would anyone choose this? But the answer is simple, because we didn't come here to play safe. We came here to transmute, to dismantle ancient karmic codes, to collapse timelines of suffering that have been repeating for thousands of years. We came here to walk into the depths and come out carrying keys, maps, weapons of remembrance. And we don't do it for ourselves. We do it for the for the bloodlines, for the ones who came before and the ones who come after. That's what it means to be a dark chosen one. You are the one who goes in first, so others don't have to. But these initiations are brutal, and you can't navigate them with logic. You can't navigate them with memes and quotes. You have to feel your way through with instincts that were buried in your DNA long before you were born. You have to let the old version of you die again and again until what's left is so real, so rooted, so unshakable that no force in any dimension can take it from you. Let me ask you something you may never have dared to ask yourself. What if the chaos in your life wasn't a breakdown, but a portal? What if the forces trying to destroy you were actually trying to reveal who you really are, beneath the masks, beneath the conditioning, beneath the fear? We're living in a time right now where millions of people are awakening, but not all awakenings are equal. Some are gentle, others are violent. Some bring visions of angels, others drag you into dimensions where the only light is the one you create. And if you're still watching this, then I'm speaking directly to you, because your soul wouldn't be drawn to this message if you weren't already walking the edge between worlds. You may not have had the language for it before, but your soul knows. It remembers the weight of those dimensions, the silence, the pressure, the unraveling, and the strange sense of power that began to emerge once you stopped resisting. You've already entered them, even if you didn't know it. You entered when your reality began to collapse and no one understood. You entered when you cried out for help and only silence answered. You entered when everything you thought was true dissolved, and all that remained was your heartbeat and a question: who am I now? These three dark dimensions are not places you visit once. They're realms that wrap around your life until you integrate their lessons. Each one strips something different. Each one activates a higher level of your mission. Each one makes you more dangerous to the Matrix. And that's why they fear you, not because you're chaotic, but because you're becoming sovereign. In the next part, we'll descend into the first of these three dimensions, a place where time folds in on itself, where the past becomes alive, where your own memories become weapons or allies depending on your awareness. It's a realm where many lose their minds, but the ones who survive become timeless. The realm of echoes, where time bends and your past hunts you. There is a place beyond the veil of ordinary awareness where time does not move forward. It loops, it twists, it mirrors. This is the first dark dimension the dark chosen one must enter. It is known as the realm of echoes. You don't walk into this realm with intention, you get pulled into it by frequency, usually after a breakdown, a betrayal, a moment so destabilizing that the fabric of your identity splits open, and suddenly you are no longer just in the present. You are everywhere your pain has ever lived. You are inside memories you thought you'd buried. You are reliving conversations, betrayals, childhood wounds, ancestral patterns, not as thoughts, but as living realities. This is not nostalgia. This is a collapse of linear time. This is where your past becomes alive again, not to haunt you, but to test you. In the realm of echoes, the past doesn't just revisit you. It demands a confrontation. You will be forced to face every version of yourself that you abandoned, every moment where you silenced your power, every situation where you betrayed your intuition just to survive. These echoes will come back not as regrets, but as energetic entities. They will mimic your voice. They will wear the faces of lovers, parents, friends. They will try to convince you that nothing has changed. that you're still that wounded child, that the loop will never break, and if you're not careful, you will believe them. You will confuse memory with identity. You will mistake repetition for fate. And that's how people get stuck in this realm, living the same emotional cycles over and over, calling it karma, calling it destiny, but really it's just unintegrated echoes running the show. This realm is not here to punish you, it's here to reveal your power of choice. Because the only way out is not through escape, it's through conscious re-navigation. You must see the echo and choose differently. You must feel the pull of the old pattern and respond from the awakened self. You must meet your past, not as a victim, but as a creator. Because every echo you face is a fork in the road. Repeat or rewire, collapse or create. And the more you choose differently, the more the realm begins to dissolve, not because it's finished with you, but because you've passed the level it was designed to teach. This is where most lose themselves. They think spiritual awakening means freedom from the past, but the truth is, awakening means you now have the awareness to go back and rewrite it from a higher state of consciousness. That's what this dimension demands. Not denial, not avoidance, but radical reclamation. You must go back and retrieve the parts of yourself that were frozen in trauma, in confusion, in shame. You must sit with them, listen to them, and then lead them out, one version of you at a time. The warrior, the child, the rebel, the lover, the ghost. You must become both rescuer and redeemer, because no one else is coming, and no one else can do it. Let me ask you something deeper than you've ever considered. What if the memories that keep haunting you aren't trying to hurt you, but to activate you? What if they're not reminders of failure, but invitations to rewrite the ending? In the realm of echoes, forgiveness is not optional, it's the currency. But not the kind of forgiveness they teach in spiritual bypassing circles, not the just let it go kind. I'm talking about the fierce, blue-derned forgiveness that comes when you finally understand that the people who hurt you were just echoes too. Echoes of their own pain, echoes of their own unhealed lineage. That doesn't mean you excuse them, it means you stop binding your evolution to their choices. You stop waiting for closure from people who don't even have clarity. You reclaim your right to move on, not because they apologized, but because you're done carrying what was never yours to begin with. The deeper you go into this realm, the more you'll start to notice something strange. The echoes begin to shift. They stop attacking you, they start listening. They start responding to your energy. Because the moment you remember you are the author, not the character, everything changes. The timeline bends, the memory reframes, the loop breaks, and you emerge with a kind of clarity that no external teacher could ever give you. You become the guide you were looking for. And that is the first mark of a true dark chosen one, self-initiation through inner mastery. But the realm of echoes is just the beginning. It tests your relationship with time, with memory, with identity. The next dimension tests something even deeper, your relationship with truth. It's a realm where reality becomes fluid, where perception is a weapon, where you must learn to see not with your eyes, but with your soul. The Labyrinth of Mirrors, where every thought shapes your reality. If the realm of echoes is where you confront the past, then the Labyrinth of Mirrors is where you confront the present, but not as it appears. Here, reality is not fixed, it is fluid, deceptive, and alive. You don't enter this place through tragedy like the first realm. You enter it through awakening. Through that strange moment where you begin to realize that the world around you is not what it seemed. It's the moment when the veil thins, not because you're suffering, but because you're seeing. You begin to notice that your thoughts are no longer passive, they are creative. That your beliefs aren't private, they're blueprints. That your inner world is no longer just a feeling, it's the architect of everything you experience. This is the second dark dimension, the Labyrinth of Mirrors. And in this realm, the danger is not what you see, it's what you believe. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything around you, your relationships, your circumstances, even your body, has been shaped by unconscious thought loops running in the background of your mind. And now, in this new awareness, you begin to notice how every subtle belief you hold begins to reflect back at you in real terms. Fear creates distortion, doubt fragments perception, clarity sharpens reality like a blade, and suddenly you're not just reacting to life, you're creating it, not metaphorically, but energetically, moment to moment. That's what it feels like to be inside the Labyrinth of Mirrors. Every wall is a reflection, every corridor is an echo of your current mindset, and the deeper you go, the more the mirror begins to show you not who you pretend to be, but who you actually are. This realm is both terrifying and empowering. Terrifying because you can't hide, empowering because you finally understand the mechanics of your reality. Most people don't survive this dimension intact. They either get obsessed with control, trying to micromanage every thought, or they collapse into paranoia, believing they must constantly monitor their vibration or else attract disaster. But both responses are symptoms of the same wound: fear of self. The Labyrinth of Mirrors is not here to make you afraid of your mind. It's here to teach you how to partner with it, to wield it, to cleanse it, to program it with intention. Because just like a mirror can reflect distortion, it can also reflect divinity. The choice is yours. In the realm, your thoughts are spells, your words are commands. Your attention becomes a currency more valuable than gold. If you give your attention to fear, fear grows. If you give it to faith, faith expands. You begin to see that attention is the steering wheel of your soul, and wherever you point it, that is where your reality begins to unfold. This is not Law of Attraction 101. This is deeper. This is not about manifesting cars and vacations. This is about reclaiming authorship of your reality at the level of archetype, energy, and frequency. It's about learning to walk through a world that is constantly asking, who are you choosing to be right now? Let me ask you a question that will haunt you until you answer it honestly. If your thoughts were visible as light or shadow trailing behind you, what would your life look like? Would you walk through a world of brilliance or a storm of noise? In the Labyrinth of Mirrors, you learn quickly that identity is fluid. You can't cling to who you were yesterday. You must become a master of presence. You must learn to observe your thoughts without becoming them, to feel emotions without collapsing into them, to sense fear and still move forward. You become a quantum navigator, not because you're trying to escape reality, but because you are reality, and you're learning how to shape it with precision. And here's the trap. This realm will constantly tempt you to believe in illusions. It will present you with visions, some beautiful, some terrifying, and ask you, do you trust what you see, or do you trust what you know? because in this dimension the eyes lie. Perception is a test. Only the inner compass, the soul's knowing, can guide you through. You must learn to close your eyes to see, to stop thinking in order to understand, to let go of what makes sense so you can align with what is true. You'll know you're mastering this realm when chaos no longer scares you, because you know it's just a reflection of internal misalignment, when beauty doesn't distract you, because you know not all light is truth, when you can hold your center in the middle of contradiction and still choose clarity. That is power. And this is why most angels don't enter this dimension, because here, purity is not enough. You need discernment, you need sovereignty, you need to be able to hold 1,000 conflicting reflections and still say, I know who I am. And once you do, the mirrors begin to dissolve, the illusions collapse, the projections fade, and what remains is a field of pure possibility, a blank canvas, a quantum 0 point. And you begin to create, not from fear, not from ego, but from alignment. But the journey isn't over, because there is one final realm, and it is the most dangerous, not because it attacks you, but because it offers you everything you've ever wanted. Power, influence, wisdom, recognition, but at a price. This is the realm where many fall, where even the most awakened lose themselves. The throne of the void, where power seduces and only truth survives. There comes a point on the path where you are no longer confused. You've confronted your past in the realm of echoes. You've mastered perception in the labyrinth of mirrors. You've learned how to navigate reality like a conscious creator. And then, just when you think you've made it, when you believe you're finally whole, finally free, something shifts. A silence descends. A stillness so absolute it feels like the universe itself is holding its breath. You've entered the final dark dimension, the one that doesn't feel like darkness at first. It feels like arrival, like ascension, like reward, but that's the seduction. This is the throne of the void. In this realm, you are presented with the illusion of completion. You feel powerful. You feel invincible. The world begins to reflect your progress. People listen to you. You influence others. Your manifestation abilities are sharper. You're respected, admired, and yet something begins to feel hollow. The silence doesn't bring peace, it brings pressure. The stillness doesn't soothe, it isolates. And the throne you sit on begins to whisper. At first it flatters you, tells you you've earned this, that you're above others now, that you don't need help anymore, that you are the final authority, that nothing and no one can touch you. And if you're not careful, you believe it. That is the trap of this realm. Not fear, not confusion, but arrogance, spiritual ego, the subtle belief that you've transcended the human, that you no longer need to be humbled, that your wisdom is beyond question. The void tests not your power, but your purity, not your strength, but your integrity, because here you are offered the crown, but to wear it without corruption, you must abandon all attachment to it. You must sit on the throne, knowing it can vanish at any moment and still remain whole. The void is where many fall. They become gurus who demand worship, leaders who manipulate, healers who feed on dependency. They believe their light gives them license over others. But true power doesn't dominate, it liberates. And the void will test how you use it. It will present you with opportunities to choose control over compassion, fame over truth, applause over authenticity, and it won't punish you for choosing wrong. It will just amplify the consequences until you can no longer ignore them. Let me ask you something dangerous. If everything you built was taken from you, your following, your success, your identity, would your essence still remain intact? Would you still serve? Would you still love? Would you still listen? In this realm, service is the sword, humility is the shield, and truth is the only compass that works. You must be willing to lose everything to keep your soul clean. You must be willing to walk away from power when it no longer aligns with purpose. That's what makes you untouchable, not your influence, but your ability to release it. And if you pass this test, if you can hold power without becoming possessed by it, something miraculous happens. The void begins to speak, not in words, in presence. You begin to feel the intelligence of the infinite moving through you, not from you. You become a vessel, not a brand, a portal, not a persona. You channel truth, not for validation, but as devotion. And that, right there, is the highest initiation of the Dark Chosen One, because the path was never about survival, never about status, never about superiority. It was about becoming a bridge between shadow and light, between heaven and earth, between the seen and unseen. You walked through dimensions even angels feared, because you were never meant to follow. You were meant to remake reality. So now I ask you, not as a guru, not as a teacher, but as one soul to another, what will you do with the power you've earned? Will you use it to build a throne, or to open a door for others still walking in the dark? Your answer is your legacy, and the journey has only just begun.